Okay, welcome everybody. Sorry for the slight delay. We had some issues, mainly my partner who actually runs this whole Zoom platform for us. He lost power, so he lost everything. All his computers are down, everything. So I don't know what happened. Hopefully he'll try to log back in. But um, we got an interesting topic today, and this is part of the National Building Expert Ask the Building Expert series, webinar series. And then why do we do this? To help building owners, condo associations, property managers, homeowners, and everyone who's interested in whatever topics that we have. And I travel around the country too. If you're able to see the PowerPoint, there's a photo of me in San Francisco in front of the Millennium Tower that's sinking. And then on the bottom, I'm in New York inspecting the tallest building in New York with allegedly 1,500 construction defects. But enough about me. Let's continue. So the topic today is contractor bidding, avoid the ripoff. And I'm not going to be talking about the rail as far as avoid the ripoff contractor bidding. Although, do you know that I'm for the rail? Yeah, I'm for it to be in San Diego. But something interesting and magical happened to me. I was driving on the freeway and I was going by the airport area and the rails under construction, and something very magical happened. Yeah, my wallet felt a lot lighter. So anyway, today is actually Amazon Prime Day, today and tomorrow. And then it's also, today is the Etch-a-Sketch Day, whatever that means. But just thought I'd let you know that. Let's go right into it. Contractor bidding. What is contractor bidding? Well, contractor bidding is the process of submitting an estimate or proposal to construct a building project. And this is the contractor that's bidding. Now, contractor bidding could also be the homeowner or a condo board asking a contractor to bid on a job. So it's pretty much the same. And I threw in a cartoon here, low bidder contractors, and the slogan is, we do our best and caulk the rest. So that's not really the kind of contractor that you want to hire. Let me see. Okay, I thought somebody had a question on the chat, but they're thanking me for doing these webinars, so that's good. Okay, so that's what the contractor bidding terminology is. So what else do we have? Contractor bids, understanding the construction bidding process. And so here's the rundown on the contractor bidding process. And there's more steps than these, but these are the basic steps that I'm letting you know. There's an initial talk about building a house or constructing a high-rise condo building in Kaka'ako, or just maybe building an addition to your existing house or renovating your house. So it all starts with that idea and wanting to do that and hire a contractor. So the first thing is an RFP, and that means requests for proposal. And basically it's a bid solicitation. And it, on the mainland, it's also known as a RFQ, request for quote. Okay, so basically it's just the action of you, if you're the person that's requesting, asking a contractor or a number of contractors to bid on a particular job. Okay, so that's the first step. The next step is, if you need plans, building plans and specifications, which are called blueprints, okay, you have an architect or engineer draw those, and you give that to the contractors that are bidding on the job so everybody can bid on the same thing. The third item is the contractor will do material takeoffs. So what that means is let's say you want the contractor, you have this vacant lot, you want the contractor to build a single family house. So the contractor will have to look at the plans and do a material takeoff. How much materials do I need? So the contractor is figuring out how much lumber he needs, how much concrete he's going to need, and he's going to make a list of all the materials. So that's the material takeoff. The other thing is he's going to use the same list to order the materials. Okay. And then at the same time, he has to calculate how much labor is going to go into using the building materials and actually constructing the components of the house. Okay, so that's the thought process, and that's what the contractor has to do. And the other thing is a bid walk. So if you have a piece of vacant land, there's really not too much of a bid walk done, although it's good for the contractor to come out and see the job site. Your lot may be not flat, it may be on a hill, so the contractor needs to know the conditions, that site conditions that he's aware of, like rock, soil condition, drainage, and those kind of things. So these are the main issues in components in the process of contractor bidding. Of course, there's a lot more steps that go into it, but this is just in general, so you get a good idea. Now, there's different types of contracts, and I'm going to explain 4 types. And these are the main types. There's actually more than this, but let's go through it now. Number 1, and this is the type of contract that's used the most, is a lump sum or a fixed price. Okay. And what that means is when the contractor bids, he's going to give you a dollar amount, one price to build. And let's go back to the example of a single family house. He's going to give you one price. It's called a lump sum or fixed price. Okay. So let's say you have the contractor bid, and he gives you a bid of $650,000 to build a single family house. Okay, that's a lump sum or fixed price. Okay, that's not a dim sum price. I'll talk about that in a little while. Okay, so that's commonly the most common type of construction contract, one number, lump sum or fixed. Okay, the second is a cost plus, and what that is the contractor will calculate his cost with no markups, and the plus part of it, he's going to add the markup, and the markup is going to be his overhead and profit. And sometimes in big construction jobs, that's called general conditions, okay, or labor burden, or whatever term they want to use. So the cost plus is the contractor's cost plus the markup, and it could be 10%, 15%, 12%, whatever the markup's going to be. Okay, it could be even 20%. Okay, so that's the second type, a cost plus. The third type is time and material, where the contractor would tell you, I don't know what, I can't estimate, give you a fixed price. It's going to be my time and whatever the cost of materials are. And the materials could be marked up. Okay. It could be marked up 8%, 10%, 12%, whatever the case. And the contractor's time is his labor charge, but it's not, let's say he has one worker and he pays the worker $25 an hour. Okay, that's not the time that he's going to charge you. He has to charge for one labor person, a laborer. He has to charge about $60 an hour or more. Why? Because if he's paying the worker $25 an hour, he's also paying insurance, workman's comp, unemployment insurance, there's overhead profit, he may be paying health insurance, and there's all these other benefits, and that adds up. So when you calculate the cost, actual cost of an employee to the contractor, it may be $60 an hour or more. Okay, so that you got to take that into consideration. So the time and material is the other type of contract, and the cost plus contract and the time and material contract is considered open book process. And what that means is, in order for you, the homeowner or owner, to verify the numbers, you have to kind of do an audit, and that's why it's called an open book. So the time and material, when the contractor bills like every 2 weeks or every month, he's gonna have to submit all his timesheets and invoices for materials, and you have to go through that to verify if that in fact is the correct information. Same with the cost plus, you got to verify that also. Okay, now the fourth type is unit pricing. And remember I told you lump sum or dim sum. Unit pricing is like a dim sum platter. So you could have the dim sum platter. Okay, you buy this platter and it costs $20. Okay, and it has all different types of dim sum. The unit prices is the dim sum is charged per unit or per piece. Like your Manapua Chasio Bao is one cost. Your pork hash is another one. Half moon is another cost. Okay, that's unit pricing. And I'm starting to get hungry now talking about dim sum, but let's move on. So unit pricing in construction is you or the contractor makes categories for certain components of construction, such as carpentry is one unit price, roofing is another unit price, electrical, plumbing is another price. So let's say in a unit pricing, he may say your electrical is going to be $50,000, your plumbing is going to be $45,000, and then you add up all these components, and all of a sudden, voila, you end up with 650,000 or some facsimile of that amount. Now, in addition to these four types of contracts, there's actually other types, such as a negotiated contract, where the contractor gives you a price and you want to build, you want him to build a house, brand new house, okay, on a nice lot, level lot, and your budget is 650,000, and he gives you a lump sum bid of 800,000. Then you got to go, wait a minute, that's way over budget. So now it becomes a negotiating bid or negotiating proposal, where you tell the contractor that's way too much, right? My budget is only 650. What can you do to bring it down? And you might say, well, I could save you, instead of your CMU block tile that you wanted and elaborate stucco, we can do wood frame and T111 siding or something. So it's substitution of materials to make it cheaper. There's also a square foot method. So the contractor tell you, my turnkey price is $350,000 a square foot. So if you want to build a 2,000 square foot house, it's going to be 700,000 turnkey, and that's the square foot method. And turnkey means at the end of the project, he gives you the key, and you go and turn it to open the door, and voila, everything's done. There's nothing missing. Okay, that's turnkey. Now, let me tell you that each one of these types of contracts is not a, could be a standalone, but there could be a combination. In other words, you could take a lump sum fixed price contract, okay, and then add in time and material. In other words, you could say it's $650,000, but if there's any change orders, the change orders are going to be based on time and material. So what you're doing is combining two different contracts together, and it may be an unknown thing. So you may say at the beginning, well, I don't know, about the kitchen, so let's give a $50,000 allowance for a kitchen, and nothing's decided yet. And you got to tell the contractor, well, my wife's going to decide on, the layout, the island, what size, and what kind of appliances, and she wants high-end stuff. So that's why there's a $50,000 allowance, and the contractor can't bid on it. He's just going to say, we'll plug that allowance number in, And if I can do it for 50, fine. If you guys decide to upgrade everything, it's going to be more than that. That's why it's called an allowance. Okay, so speaking of different types of bidding, there's, you probably have experience before. You heard other people saying, yeah, I had a contractor bid and I got 3 estimates, and uh, the normal procedure or process is you got to get 3 contractor bids. No, there's no law that says you got to get 3 bids. There's no law that says you got to get 5 bids. If it's a good friend of yours and he's a contractor, you can get 1 bid and you can negotiate, okay, if you trust the guy. And a lot of times bids come in and it's apples, oranges, and lemons, and sometimes a banana. And in my line of work, as a construction manager, construction engineer, I go out and obtain bids for jobs that are $50,000 and up to 20 million. And I get the same type of bids: apples, oranges, lemons. What did the contractor forget? Did they price things wrong? So the idea here is you make sure all contractors are bidding on the exact same thing, or you end up getting mixed fruit salad. And it's so frustrating when you give the contractor the plans and you get bids that come back and they're all over the place. And you go, whoa, how come? Didn't they read the plans correctly? That's where the RFP comes in. You want to set the guidelines. And in addition to the RFP, I'll give you some more tips on getting the bids closer to where you need to be. Now, not all the bids, let's say you get 3 bids, not all of them are going to be the same. There may be a plus or minus range of a 10 to 20%, and that's pretty common. But if you have bids that are varied in ranges from 80% to 50%, then something's wrong here, right? So let me introduce you to this term called SOV, and it's SOV means schedule of values, okay? And there's also project specifications. A schedule of values is, and you want to ask the contractor to make such a schedule. So when you get a lump sum bid and it's 650,000, you want to ask for clarification, like, Mr. Contractor, can you give me a schedule of values? I want to know how much the roof costs and how much all the framing costs in your concrete work. And so you have line items totaling the 650, and you can get a better idea of where things lay as far as what costs the most. Okay. Also project specifications, and the project specs are basically written out along with the building plans. Now, the building plans are the blueprints. The specs is a separate book which outlines the type of materials that are going to be used and all that. So basically, the building plans tell you what to build, okay, and the specifications tell you how to build it. Okay, so the plan may say we want to use framing 2x4, 2x6. We want to have some glulam beams that are 6x12 or something like that. So the plans may not exactly show that, but the specs would be written up like that. Type of concrete. You pour in a concrete foundation. Okay, you wanna know how much PSI, right? 3,500 PSI. That's going to be either in the plans or it should be in the specifications. So that's the difference. There's also a acronym called SOW, and it's not a pig. It's called scope of work. And when you list down the scope of work, that further clarifies what the contractor is supposed to be doing. So the more information you have in the scope of work in the RFP, the better, the closer the contractor bids are going to come. Okay. And hopefully it'll work out that way. So basically, that's the SOV and the SOW, schedule of values and the scope of work. The other thing is the change orders. Change orders changes your finances and your financing. Now, remember the rail that I kind of talked about earlier? It started off at like 3 billion. And now it's up to what, 9 or something like that. Guess what? The difference is change orders. Okay. Change orders changes your finances, and it causes, and a lot of grief, but sometimes you can't help it. What are the causes of change orders? Okay. Causes of change orders could be owner changes. The contractor is building a house, and then um, the homeowners go and take a visit, and they look in the master bedroom and they go, oh wow, these windows are way too small. When I want to be able to see outside. I want to be able to see the ocean. Well, I need the windows bigger. So then now the contractor already put the windows there. So now it becomes a change order, because the contractor has to now remove the windows and order new ones, bigger ones, and reinstall the windows. That's not going to be free because he followed the building plan. So that's an extra cost. That's a change order. The other cause would be unforeseen circumstances, such as they're building on a hill, and all of a sudden they're excavating and they hit blue rock. They didn't think that there was going to be all this blue rock there. So it's going to be extra civil engineering and extra work to chip out the blue rock and all that, right? So that's considered an unforeseen circumstance. Other unforeseen circumstances are the contractor is set on a schedule. He says, I'm going to finish building the house at the end of December. And all of a sudden we have a hurricane, we have heavy rain, and it rains for 30 days straight. That's an unforeseen circumstance, act of God. So therefore, that's a change order. It may not change the cost, it may change the time. The schedule may have to change, and you have to allow the contractor another 30 days or 45 days to finish the house because of the weather conditions. Okay. Another cause for change order is building code compliance. When the plans are submitted to the building permit department, DPP, they approve it based on their review. But when the job is under construction, let's say it's a high rise in Kaka'ako, the building inspector comes, walking around. He goes, oh, wait a minute. These doors are supposed to be fire rated, but the plans don't call for that, right? And the inspector says, well, you have to do it. Otherwise, I'm not signing off on your permit. So what happens is now the contractor didn't bid on that initially, and fire rated doors are more expensive than regular doors, right? So that becomes now a change order. And that kind of was unforeseen, but you have to comply with the building code, right? So it has to be done. So these are instances of causes of increased change orders and increased costs to the overall cost of construction. Now let me share with you $25,000 piece of advice, but this same thing also applied and saved one of my clients $200,000. And here's a piece of advice: when you're working on your contract, okay, your construction contract, you may want to put these words in, okay, and it's one paragraph and it's very easy. And what it says is, the contractor shall adhere to good workmanship, follow generally acceptable industry standards, and conform to CSI specifications and building material manufacturers installation guidelines. Very simple. You may also want to include the construction work must conform to applicable governmental laws and regulations, including the building code. Okay, once you put all this in, you're protected as much as possible from getting overcharged or getting ripped off. And when I talk about the case studies, I'll let you know why this is so important. Okay, and it's very easy to put in. If the contractor is on the up and up and he sees this clause, he'll agree to it. Okay, he might hem and haw and go, gee, what I have to, I don't agree to that, but just say, this is what my building expert recommended. And, all the other contractors that bid are willing to have this in. Some jobs that I work on, I put this in and the contractor didn't even know it was there because they don't read, all the pages. So let's talk about some case studies to avoid the ripoff. And I'll breeze through this fast so we have time for questions and answers. There was a job where the contractor was painting, and the paint is self-priming paint. What that means is you don't need primer, and he just applied the finish paint because on the can it said self-priming, so it's basically primer mixed in with the finished paint. And I looked at the job and I said, hey, where's the prime coat? And the contractor said, we don't need one because the painting can instructions say it's self-priming. And I went back and I told him, well, read your contract. And also in the painting specs I had written that they have to pressure wash. And so that same contractor said, I don't need to pressure wash because the paint manufacturer said we can paint over dirt and the paint will stick to dirt. And I said, well, why would you paint over dirt? That doesn't make any sense. So, that saved a bunch of money. Another one was the contractor, carpenter was cutting new lumber that was termite treated, pressure treated. And the end cuts, wherever they cut, that's called an end cut. And he wasn't treating it. You're supposed to treat the end cuts with, termite. We call it termite medicine. It's actually chemicals, because when you cut a new piece of wood that's termite treated, not the entire wood is not treated. There could be a section in the middle which is softer that's not treated, and that's why you want to treat all your cuts. And the contractor said that's not in my contract, and he showed me the contract, and this is what a job that I got called to. And then what happened was I just said there's a code reference that you need to do it. That's so the guy had to follow the building code, so he was stuck even if he argued that it wasn't specifically stated in his contract. Another one was in a new house. They were doing a new roof that cost $80,000, and the contractor started doing roof shingles, and I went to look and I said, this is the wrong shingles, and he said, no, it's Architect 80. But I put the clause in with a specified. See, the Architect 80, it's not one roofing type of material. There's like good, better, best type. There's all different gradations of material for that. And of course, the best material costs the most. And the contractor was using the cheapest material that was still Architect 80. But I told him, no, you got to use the one that I specified. So these are instances where you can save money by avoiding getting ripped off, by making sure you have the correct language in your contract, and also you have somebody that's on your side that can help you, like a consultant. Now that's the end of the presentation. For you, those of you who haven't been around watching the webinars, I've given probably over 100 webinars from last year. We have webinars that we gave on almost every single topic: roofing, hurricane ties, windows, plumbing, electrical, building permits, contractor licensing. There's a whole bunch. You just go to our website, askbuildingexpert.now.site, and you can sign up for new ones coming up too. So what's coming up? We got window safety, we got hazardous building materials, Grenfell Tower in London, the cause of the fire. I'm going to be talking about that. And we got a whole bunch of other ones. By the way, last week, I gave a webinar on monster houses. And if you're on Facebook, it's on my Facebook page, and we'll put the video on demand. You can watch it anytime on our website. And I think that's it. Okay, so we're going to go to questions and comments and answers. If you have any questions later, my email is lanceluke@hawaiibuildingexpert.com. Phone number 808-422-2132. That's a landline, so you can't text to that number. And then our website is askbuildingexpert.now.site. That's like a whole series of, it's a pretty big website that has all our videos on demand. It has a sign up for Zoom for upcoming. There's takeaways. There's all kind of good stuff. There's actually a section on different websites that I have. We have about 30 different websites that we're, some are finished, some we're still working on. And I don't know if I see my partner's picture there, but I didn't introduce him in the beginning because he wasn't around. He lost electricity, but it's Martin Pea, who's my partner in this whole Ask Building Expert webinar series. And I'm gonna see if he logged in. Martin, are you around?
Yes, Lance, I got back in. Can you hear me?
Oh, what happened? You use your battery backup?
No, it's not the battery. The power went out here in Ohui, Manu. So just came up a little bit ago. So I tried to get back in, or I am back in, but so I missed most of whatever you did, but I'm sure it was good. So,
Oh, it was excellent. So you can always watch the replay.
Exactly.
But the joke is always somebody actually texted me and said, "Hey, Martin never pays his electric bill."
Now we paid the bill. It's just that Hawaiian Electric not delivering us the electricity we paid for.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you this: the rates are going up. So,
yeah.
Did you get to join in? I mean, I breezed through it fairly fast because I wanted time for Q&A and comments. So are you ready? We can do that now.
I can help you on it. One thing is, I get my two machines that I run the webinar on. So I got my Mac up, so I'm on the Zoom with you, but my PC, I haven't been able to get it back up. So usually that's where I kind of monitor what's happening on Facebook. So if you can take a look at Facebook.
Yeah, I can do the Facebook.
And see what questions.
Are you able to do the chat and the Q&A on Zoom?
Yeah, I'm watching the Zoom. I see we got some good participants and attendees here. It's just that I don't see any questions. So I know we've had some that usually kind of get sent in to us earlier. So I can kind of ask you those if you want right now.
Yeah, go ahead. I just checked Facebook. There's no comments. Maybe people are confused or they're still laughing at my rail jokes. I don't know.
Oh, are you still doing rail jokes?
Yeah, you missed it.
Let me get through. I got a few questions here. The first one says, are contractors willing to show you how they arrived at their final numbers? And what do I do if the contractor refuses to explain how they arrived at their pricing? I don't know if that came up, and I haven't seen your video yet, so I'll have to watch the replay. But
okay,
anyway, that's a question.
Yeah, so in answer to that, yes, the contractor should be willing to actually explain how they arrived at their price. If they don't, and let's say, I use, for simplicity's sake, I use constructing a new single family house for $650,000. That's the, for discussion's sake. So let's say the contractor gives you a bid and his proposal is 650,000 to build a brand new house. And, you know, you can ask him, how did you arrive at the number? And he should be willing to explain to you, you know, maybe not in super detail, but explain how he arrived at that number by breaking certain sections down and letting you know, yeah, the framing is going to cost X amount, the roof is this, the concrete is this, and all that. If the contractor refuses to give you the number, then you might think, you know, why? You might want to even ask the contractor, you know, why? Because I want to understand better, you know, how you arrived at the numbers, especially, this is important now, especially when you go out to bid and your budget is 650 and you get bids coming in at 900,000, 800,000 and 750,000, way over budget. You want to know, maybe you were too elaborate in your design. Okay, so it may not be the contractor's fault. It may be your fault for over design. Okay, now there's a way to cross check all that. So if you hire an architect, okay, not a drafts person, an architect, you might ask the architect, hey, what's your estimate on this design? And he might give you a number. And if your number is like around 650, then you should be there. Okay. If the architect says, oh, 900,000, then you're off, right? So when you're hiring a designer, an architect, you got to tell him what your budget is, right? So he can design it accordingly. Because if your budget is not that high, then cut out the marble floors, you know, the marble countertops, the you know, solid koa cabinetry and all that. You know, you're kind of over designing the house to whatever your budget is. If you have unlimited budget, yeah, you design whatever you want, but you know, don't be surprised if your construction cost is $1.5 million. Okay, so it's all relative. Okay, so but let's say that the bid should come in at 650. If it's higher, or even if at 650, you can still ask the contractor to explain his numbers, and you know, the contractor should be able to give you at least a ballpark rundown of his costs. Okay, so what else do we have?
Good answer, Lance. Maybe I can just quickly throw in a question that I've had because I've had to deal with it. Can you at least get them to give you the cost of, say, materials versus cost of labor kind of breakdown to, you know, is that a minimum we should be able to get from them?
That might be a little harder because it's harder to calculate. I mean, it's more work for the contractor because you got to go figure, okay, every day I'm going to have my workers come in and do concrete work. And how many days is that going to take? So he's going to have to calculate the, and they call that man days. Okay, not caveman days. They call it man days. How many? So let's say he needs 4 workers to lay concrete, and it's going to take 2 weeks. So you got to calculate 4 workers times the time period. Okay, and then calculate the cost of concrete. Right. So that's all really fine-tuned numbers, and most contractors don't want to spend the time telling you that. They just, oh, well, I just ballparked it, estimate, you know, how much, and usually my estimate is correct. So, you know, when you ask for that, they might be hesitant because it's extra time that they got to spend. Yeah, they might tell you, oh, if I get the job, you know, I'd be happy to cost it out for you. But usually when they're bidding, they don't want to spend more time than they have to because they're not guaranteed to get the job. Yeah. So
true. Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get a question here on the Zoom side. It's, if the contractor doesn't perform per the contract, what can the consumer do? Is there an order of remedies depending on the gravity of the contract breach and reluctance of the contractor? Good question.
Yeah, there are remedies. There's common law remedies. There's actually legal remedies and remedies according to the contractor licensing law. And I know the remedy would be ask the contractor to come back and take care of it. There's a law called the Contractor Repair Act, which you can use, but that law protects the contractor too. So it basically says you can't sue the contractor unless you give the contractor ample notice first of the problem and give the contractor opportunity to fix the problem. Okay, so that's there. And then there's also the contractor licensing law, HRS 444, and then there's actually the Hawaii administrative rules regarding contractors. So there's different remedies that you can use, but sometimes it's better to go to mediation and discuss it first to try and resolve the problem, because once you involve attorneys and it takes way longer to resolve and it's way more expensive, because basically you're paying attorneys and consultants. You might, if it's a construction defect item, you may be, having to hire experts, like an expert witness that's versed in construction defect litigation, and you're paying them. So not only would you be paying the attorney by the hour, now you're paying the expert by the hour. So it all adds up. Yeah. So you don't want to get into a litigation type issue. You want to try and resolve it as best as possible with the least amount of dollars spent. Yeah.
Okay, Lance, thank you.
Sure.
I get another question here. I don't know if it's related to what I was asking earlier, but can I really ask the contractor for their work scope?
I don't see why not. You can ask a contractor for anything. The contractor may say, I'm not giving you that. That's confidential, privileged information. And you might say, okay, well, if it's so privileged and confidential, then I don't want to hire you. I want to hire a contractor who's going to be upfront with me, because if there's a change order, I want to know what the cost is of a change order is going to be. I want to know how much labor you're going to charge me and what the materials are. I don't want to go, well, what is this? $6,000 for replacing 2 windows. How do I know if that's the correct amount or not? How do I know I'm not getting overcharged, right? So this whole check and balance thing is to keep the contractor honest too, and then so you understand, because a lot of times I get brought in as an expert on construction issues that resolve, and come to find out the contractor was even low on his labor costs, and I had to tell the homeowner, this cost is actually cheap. And the homeowner had no clue. They didn't understand. They said, oh, how can it be that much? And I said, well, look at the cost of your windows. And they go, oh, I didn't know that windows cost that much. And I saw an ad in the paper for, windows for this. And I go, yeah, that's different. You're asking for higher end windows, not the cheaper windows. You want a cheap one? The contractor could put one in, but I said, I wouldn't advise that. If you're building a house that you're spending $850,000, you don't want cheap windows. Okay, look at the warranty. So it's a reality check sometimes for them. But then on the other hand, I had some cases where the contractor really gouged the client, and so I had to say no. If I brought in another contractor to do the same work, the cost would be X amount. It wouldn't be this high. There's no reason for this high markup. I don't even know where the markup came from, right? So there's check and balances that we need to do in this kind of construction bidding world.
Okay, thank you. Next question we got here is how many pages should a construction contract be? I recently signed a contract to build an extension on my house, and it is only 1 page.
But that's interesting. I had contract proposal written on a napkin that came from a bar where the owner and the contractor were drinking, and then they gave me the napkin saying, write the contract based on this, and there's only one amount on the napkin, and I had to laugh. I said, okay, let me take a shot at this. But even for one house, okay, where it's a renovation or you're building a brand new house, I've seen two-page contracts, okay, which is kind of strange to me, because there's no way in 2 pages you can fit everything you need to, plus all the required disclaimers. And there's actually disclaimers and information that's actually required by law, okay? And some of these things is the general contractor using subcontractors? If so, you got to specify the name of the subcontractors and work that they're doing. You got to provide a construction schedule. You got to provide this, provide that. So these are required information by law. Construction schedule, you can't just hire the contractor and say, okay, I'll build your house for $650 and there's no start date or no end date. And then also, if the contractor is using a salesperson, you need to know that too. How much is a salesperson getting paid? How much commission is the guy getting paid for, selling new roofing or paint job or vinyl siding and those kind of things? So it should be probably at least 5 pages long if it includes everything. Now, the only way to get around it is if you use, tiny font type, right? But then you can't make it so small where the person can't read it, right? So it has to be readable and legible. So just it's better for the contractor to type his contract using a larger font size. So later on, when there's no there can be no confusion or misinterpretation going, hey, look at the font size. There's no way that you're telling me you didn't see this, you didn't read it, okay? If you didn't read it, it's not my fault because it's in there and you agreed to it. Okay, so number of pages is important. I've seen contracts for a single family house where it was over 100 pages. But of course, that was a attorney review and the house construction was $2 million. So it may be all relative, but even if you're doing a renovation of your house and it's $85,000, I don't think you should have even a 2-page contract. I think it should be more pages. So that's just my opinion on that.
Well, that sounds good. It sounds like the contract, construction contract, kind of provides a minimum guide of what should be on, in the thing, right? So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
good. That's good. Okay, let me see. What's our next question? I hired a design builder and I'm having a rough time getting the job completed. I keep calling, but the contractor tells me that they cannot get materials. Valid?
Well, let me back up. The term design builder is part of a term used when it's a design build construction. And what that means is you hire one entity, like one contractor who either has an architect working in his office or he works in partnership with an architect. So you hire one company, and one company could employ the contractor and the architect at the same time. They could be working for the same company. That's a design build, rather than you hiring an architect who's third party and you're hiring a separate third party contractor. Okay, so that's an explanation. Now, getting to answer the question, I forgot what the second part was. I got confused trying to explain the design build.
Okay, no, the first part is they're having a rough time getting the job completed. They keep calling, but the contractor tells them that they cannot get materials.
Oh, okay, I got it. So, as you know, there's there's still a supply chain problem, and there's even a cost problem. So the contractor may in fact be telling the truth, and he can't get materials because it's not available. Okay. The other thing is that maybe it is available, but let's say the cost of lumber, it's like 4 times what it cost 2 years ago. Maybe the contractor can get it, but he doesn't want to get it. He's waiting until the price comes down, so he's telling you he can't get it. Okay. Or there could be other factors involved. So if you want to double check, right, what materials is this contractor waiting for? And then, do your own research and see if you can get it. Okay. And if you can't get it, then the contractor's telling you the truth. Most contractors buy wholesale. Okay. They get the contractor's wholesale rate, even when they buy it at your Home Depot or Lowe's or City Mill, right? And there's bigger places that they can buy it from, but sometimes it's all out. And at one time, some of my projects were out of paint. We couldn't get paint, and so it was kind of scary, because then the job stops and you don't have the right materials. Yeah, so it could be a supply chain issue. It could be a pricing issue. So if you just ask your contractor, and if you're in doubt, make the calls and try to find out yourself.
Good answer. Thank you. Let's see, get a couple more here. The next one is, I do not know anything about construction costs. Sounds like me a few years ago. Who can I hire to review the contractor bids? Are there people out there that can do that type of work?
Yeah, in fact, they're called construction estimators or professional estimators. And there's several companies in town that can do that. You give them a set of plans and tell them, give me an estimate, and you can get an idea from the third party. On bigger jobs, that's what happens. Okay, smaller jobs, normally that doesn't happen because it costs so much. But if you're spending $1 million or more to hire a third-party estimate, then that's a cross-check, because when you get that number from the estimator, then you cross-check that number with the bids you get from contractors, and you can see whether it's far off or not. Normally, when I do that, the bids I get from the contractors are higher than what the estimator told me. And some are about the same, plus or minus 10, 15%, but that's within the range, right? Now, if the estimator tells me that the cost of construction is 2 million and the bids I get are 2.5 to 3.2, then something is off here. Maybe the contractor's charging too much overhead and profit, or maybe they're marking up the materials too much or something, or maybe they just gave an allowance just in case. I've seen bids where it's $100,000 more than it should be, and I said, hey, what's up with this? Why is their profit so much? And they said, that's not my profit. That's a cushion in case labor costs go up, or material costs go up, or whatever. At least there's room. And I go, yeah, but when you make it so high, you're pricing yourself out of the market. Yeah, so it's a check and balancing for them. So they would have to come down at least like 50,000 in order to be in the ballpark to be considered to get the job. Yeah, so yeah, it's all interesting construction things.
Yeah, very interesting. A lot of balancing of items, yeah, cost, and all
Right.
those kind of things, yeah. Okay, get done. I see one more here. Says, thank you for your great webinar. Yep, good job, Lance. Does the information that you gave also apply to condo projects as well? I'm a board member of a condo association and have a $6 million piping project coming up. I would like to share the information with our board members. What say you, Lance?
Yeah, everything that I told you today at this webinar applies to condo projects, non-condo projects. It applies to residential projects. It applies to commercial projects. It's basically the same set of procedures, except, as you know, like I explained, there's different types of the bidding process and different types of construction contracts. So for the board member that asked the question on a piping project, you're going to get a lump sum bid. You're not going to get unit pricing. You're not going to get time and material. This is how contractors bid that are doing repiping, and by repiping is cast iron piping going in to a high-rise condo building or low-rise, removing the existing old piping and putting in new pipes. Okay, so basically that's the type of project it is. So you want to get a lump sum. You don't want to do this project time and material or unit costs or anything like that. The only things that are going to be unit costs would be allowance items where, let's say you go into one unit and the cabinet's original is old and it falls apart. Okay, there's going to be a unit cost to replace that cabinet with a new cabinet. Okay, so but then you know what the cost is. It's going to be, $1,500 or whatever. Okay, so if you don't know, you can always contact us and we'll kind of lead you in the right direction. So I know that we're nearing the hour, and I appreciate you guys attending on Zoom and watching on Facebook Live. And I checked Facebook and there's no comments now. So I guess we're in the clear. We can, and any last comments that you have, Martin?
No, so good to be back.
It's good to have you back, because I was like fumbling around.
Nah,
I
you
know
had
we're
it, you had it.
yeah, I don't even know how to even stop Facebook. Let me check here.
I can do them. I can do them. No
Oh,
problem.
you can.
Yeah, I'm back up. Yeah.
Oh,
co-hosting.
okay. Okay, so anyway, we're signing off. Thank you very much for attending. Hopefully you got some interesting information. If you have more questions later, just reach out to us. Also, those on Zoom and Facebook Live, thanks for watching, and share the information. Even share the Monster House webinar that we gave. And we're signing off for now, but hope to see you at the next webinar coming up. And I think the next webinar is about Windows. Martin, you remember what the topic is?
No, I think we're doing the termite one next, huh?
Oh yeah, termite. Okay,
Termite.
so the next one is termites, and then I think Grenfell Tower and Windows or something like that. Anyway, it's on our website. You can look, and it's free, so take advantage of the information, share it, watch it as many times. You don't need a Netflix account, so just letting you know. All right, so we're signing off, and thank you for attending, and we'll see you next time. Aloha.
Aloha.